Is Okay, so do you ever in life feel like you are trying, and then nothing happens? Or you're doing all the right things and then you fail? Or you're showing up and you're giving your very best and all of a sudden, boom, you miss your goal? Okay, so this has been me. Hey, Auntie Kim! This has been me, and I have been like just crushing it as far as what I need to do and going after my goal. Hey Tiana, hey Carly, and I'm gonna give you guys an update on Japan in a little bit. But I wanted to encourage you guys because this just came into my mind, and I was going to write this message, like this little sob story, like how I'm a victim, blah 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 blah, and I'm this failure, whatever. Hey Jacqueline. And then it came to me like Galatians 6:9. God just whispered that across my heart, and it says, "Let us not become weary in doing good, for at the right time we will reap a harvest if we do not give up." And I was like, what? Mind blown. Like, hello. Okay, first of all, when you're chasing a goal, whatever that may be, whether it's in work or even just in relationships, you're trying to move forward and you feel like your wheels are spinning, or maybe it's in school, you're trying to get the right grade. Like, how many times did that happen to me in college? I was like, this essay is awesome, and I would show up, boom, it would be like a D or something, and I would be like, okay, clearly not smart enough for this school, but maybe that's just my story, I don't know. And so I feel like we chase these goals, right? We're going, and we're doing all the right things. We're showing up. They tell us to do this, X, Y, and Z, and you'll get there. Or like your coach is telling you, hey, do X, Y, and Z, and we're going to hit this goal together. And then all of a sudden you miss it. And I hate that. I hate it so much. I do not like to fail. Like, I am a super competitive person. Anyone else out there? Comment below if you're competitive. And I don't like to fail. And you know what failure does to me? I don't know if it's like this for you guys, but failure causes me to look around at other people doing what I want to do and comparing myself. I start comparing what God has gifted me with, what God has put in my heart to do, to other people. And I'm like, gosh, why can't I do that? Or why can't I do that? Why am I not being successful in those ways? Why am I not good enough? And I start to question all about who God has made me to be, my gifts, my talents, the mission He's put in my heart. And I'm just competitive. I just hate failing, right? But what it's teaching me, you guys, is that failure is something that we can have hope in. It does not mean that you will never get there. It doesn't mean that you'll never hit that goal. It doesn't mean that you aren't good enough, or that you're not, that's not the right path for you. I think a lot of times in our society we're like, oh, I failed. Like, surely this is the wrong door for me. I shouldn't have walked through this door because I failed. So God's going to be like, nope, redirect. Like, sorry, that's, God saying I'm not good enough, or that this isn't the right path for me. And that's not true. It says in Galatians, when we do not give up, when we continue doing good, then we will reap a harvest. And I felt that was so encouraging today, because it's so easy to get caught up in what other people are doing, to keep up with the Joneses. Like, hello, I live in a little fun-size apartment here. Like, we're not keeping up with the Joneses at this rate. But the thing is that we have an option to see, hey, Katie, good to see you here. Thanks for popping on. So we have the option to look at our circumstances, or even to look at failure and be like, oh, and take that personally, or take that and see that as a sign that we shouldn't continue forward, or to see that God's hand of blessing isn't on it. I do that. I'm like, well, surely like this isn't the right thing, because so-and-so over there is succeeding and I'm not, and we're doing the same thing. No, God has a different plan for all of us, and part of that plan is learning. It's character growth. And for me to not give up when I am pursuing a goal, that means that I am learning how to stay in something when it's hard. It's just like marriage. Like, we can't just give up when it gets hard. Or with a kid, we can't just be like, oh, you are really difficult to potty train, we're just going to give up. We're just going to wear diapers the rest of our life, right? That's what happens. So it's the same thing with God. Like, God is not just like, oh, you missed the mark the first time, or you tripped and fell when you were first learning to walk, so you shouldn't walk ever again. God's not saying that to us. He's literally coming to us and saying, this is for your good. This growth, this failure is for your good. You are learning to change. You are learning. I'm remolding you through this fire right now. So don't give up. keep doing good. Keep doing that mission I set out for you. Keep pursuing what I'm put in front of you. Keep working hard. Keep showing up, even when you miss goal after goal. Because guess what? When you do not give up, when you do not grow tired, He will give you a harvest to reap. I don't know what that harvest looks like, but I want to find out what that harvest looks like, okay? I want to be on the other end of it and be like, I'm reaping a harvest, right? So I just want to encourage you guys, if you're anything like me and you hate failure, or you get competitive and you're like, gosh, why is that person doing better than me? Or maybe you look around and you're like, gosh, that mom really has it all together and I'm over here like trying to get my kids to even put clothes on. Or maybe you're a wife and you're just like, man, why are we not getting pregnant? Trying. It's not working. Should we give up? Is that not what God has for us? Failure does not equate God's blessing. And failure does not equate that we should give up and that we should not do it or pursue it. Failure or missing a goal should give you hope, because you know that you're learning something in that moment. I'm learning something right now, even though I'm going through things and I miss goals and I hit other goals, right? Because that's part of life. Like, I'm like, okay, I tried that. That didn't work. Reshape, try this. Okay, that worked. Let's move on. So I just want to encourage you guys, do not give up. Do not see failure as a closed door. Do not see failure as you're not good enough. Do not see failure as you are not called to do that thing in particular. Because if you think about it, like, if David had felt failure was an indication of God's calling, then he probably wouldn't have been king at the end of the day, because he was chased all the time, like throughout crazy, like he lived in caves and things like that. He was always fighting against Saul's army. His head was literally being chased, like people wanted to kill him, like nonstop. And he had the blessing of God to be the next king. And it's like, well, you look at that and you're like, David, didn't you ever question if God really wanted you to be king? Because people were chasing you. And people were like trying to kill you. So doesn't that mean that that's not really the right thing to follow through on? I feel like that, you know, sometimes things happen and it's just adversity after adversity and obstacle after obstacle. But that does not mean that God hasn't called you specifically to do what you need to do to accomplish that goal. If you do not give up, if you do not grow weary, if you continue doing good, you will reap that harvest. So we can't look at that as a win or loss. We can't look at failure as, oh, God's in it or he's not. Or we can't look at a missed goal and be like, this so wasn't for me. Like, I didn't succeed the first time, so it's not my thing. No, this is the part where we get to press in and be like, okay, because I failed, I'm going to try this time. Because I missed this goal, I'm going to go in this direction and try to do it a different way. So I just want to encourage you guys, because that's what I've been feeling recently. I was just like, I missed this goal and I'm so disappointed. But God whispered that to me, and I truly believe if I do not give up, if I continue pursuing and working hard like I am and showing up and focusing on, like, blinders on, this is my journey that God's called me to and I'm here to help people, then I cannot fail and I will reap a harvest. And that's my focus today as I sit down to work, because my life mission is not wrapped up into the income I create. It's not wrapped up into the success that I create. It's not wrapped up into whether people think I'm good at my job or not. It's not wrapped up in hitting goals or missing goals. My mission is wrapped up into who God has called me to be. My mission is wrapped up in what God has set out before me, the doors that He's opened. And if He doesn't close that door, and failure is not a closed door, if He doesn't close that door, then I continue on. I continue growing from that failure or missed goal. Failure is not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing. And so I'm looking at it and I'm like, okay, this just means my harvest is going to be plentiful, right? Like, right, God? Like, it's going to be bigger and better. So anyways, I hope you guys are encouraged. Thanks, Katie. Yes, keep the blinders on, you guys. At the end of the day, your journey is about you. It is not about what God's doing in someone else. And maybe they don't need to learn something that you need to learn, so their path looks a little bit different. So don't look around and be like, well, why is that person doing better? Or I should do what she's doing because obviously that's super successful. Or, like, I know, you know, even with women, we're like, oh, try this method or try this or this, because we always think that whatever works for us is going to work for other people. But that's not necessarily the case. My husband just joined. Hi, baby! He's sitting over there across the room from me. I love it. So just, yeah, I guess that's my thing, is just keep your blinders on. Don't look to your right or to your left at what someone else is doing. At the end of the day, God's mission and his plan for you is specifically for you. There are things about your personality and your character that he wants to grow and change and refine through the fire. And there are things that he wants to bless you with, but you have to continue pushing through the hard times. You have to continue pushing through the adversity. So in order to get that, you have to not give up. That's not anyone else's responsibility. The person to your left or the person to your right, they can't do it for you and push through that adversity for you in order for you to reap the harvest. And I guarantee you, when you give up, you won't reap that harvest. I guarantee you. That's what scripture says. So anyways, I hope you guys have an awesome day and an awesome night. Quick update on Japan. Here we go. Yesterday I went to the store for the first time. I almost bought ketchup, and I meant to buy pasta sauce. That would have been a bad thing. And I almost, what was the other thing that I thought tofu was cheese. That was embarrassing. I was like, ew, well, apologies to those that like tofu out there, but tofu is not something that I eat. And I would have been so disappointed if I thought it was cheese and it was tofu. They have a lot of tofu, and I thought it was like a cheese section. Definitely not. And then we went to sign up for a gym, and they asked me like 30 minutes of questions. That was interesting. They wanted to know my blood type. I don't know my blood type. And they looked at me like I was crazy. I was like, what? Like, do you know your blood type? And everyone's shaking their head yes. So I'm like, okay, I'm obviously in the minority here. So Mom, Dad, I need to know my blood type. I don't know if you know that, but need to know that. And the last thing was that they have a check mark box that if you're pregnant, you can't work out at their gym. And I was looking around like, okay, all right. I mean, that's what, that's the goal for this year. So I was like, why does that matter? Like, if I want to work, that should be a good thing if you want to work out while you're pregnant. But anyways, needless to say, all of us can't tell them if I do get pregnant, and I'm still going to the gym because I'm hoping that I won't show too quickly and I can keep going. So that's my update on Japan life. We got a table and chairs, y'all. Sitting here right now. Awesome. Love that because I can work. It's perfect. And we're about to have our first storm. Love that. I love thunderstorms in the summer, so I'm really excited. But I hope you guys had an awesome night. I'd love to hear just what's going on in your guys' life as far as the topic that I talked about tonight. Have you ever dealt with that? Did you find it encouraging? What do you focus on when you go through those hard moments? I would love to hear. So have an awesome night, guys. I will talk to you soon. Bye-bye.